PhD at 24, senior partner at Kearney in Germany, senior partner at PwC in Romania. You've obviously had an amazing career. But my curiosity stands for why did you end up opening your consultancy firm in the Middle East, in Dubai?
Mhm. So I was in Romania, which is kind of an odd place to work, but the job was very good. So running PwC, I was responsible at the time for Southeast Europe. Uh, it was quite nice because the company is first class. But I had no real home. So Romania was not my home. I did not even speak English, English, Romanian. The job before I was in Germany. Yeah. In Germany, I think it was an old story. So I looked for two places. One was New York and the other one was Dubai, and that I visited in the same month. And then I said, okay, if you go to Dubai, it's like you live at the same time in Miami and New York. So that was winning. So it was also the lifestyle. Um, I'm there 10 years. So it is also for Germany, it's one step ahead. And especially for the consulting business, it was something special. In parallel, I got also one very prestigious client. It's Oredo Group in telecom in Qatar. So I said, okay, living in Qatar is a little bit boring. Having a home in Dubai, working in Qatar, this combination was my start, and I still do like this. So most of the living or fun part is Dubai. The work itself for consulting is around Dubai or even Europe, but people respect if you come from Dubai. So it is some kind of a even for Canada, I think it's a benchmark. Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, the way you're speaking, it really sounds like after all these years, you're really doing what you really love. It's it sounds like you're positioning yourself in places that you feel comfortable. It feels like you're taking on clients that you're enjoying. Is that the case? Because after 20 plus books, being senior partner at these big consulting firms, one wonders like why start your own business after that? Why not just stay in the comfort of you reach the top of the corporate ladder.
Yeah.
Why just
So
start again?
that was interesting. So when I made my 50th birthday, I decided to retire. I made a big party, invited to Dubai my friends. So I looked by decades. So always the 3 years, 3 years, 3 years. So from all the world I got, I rented a big boat, a yacht, and we were going all these tourist places with them. And then when I was traveling to Europe, I met my new wife, and she said, "Okay, I can be with you, but you should not retire. So that means you have to start something." So we started a business together. She's called Sonia, Sonia Vizjak, and that was the story. So we always built this business together. It was not only my business. So she was more an entrepreneur. I was more kind of specialist in what I do, and that's still like this. So she set the objectives, and I try to follow.
Mm. Well, you know what they say, if a lot of people who end up retiring early, they start aging a lot faster and they feel unhappy after a couple of years. So work kind of keeps you busy.
Oh, my projects. So we always have very interesting projects. So since a few years, I'm also cooperating with Alex Partners, which gets this kind of big restructuring jobs. And these are really companies suffering which need help. So in some kind, uh, every year, every second year, I change the projects and I leave behind companies which survive because of my work. And this is good because if you take these important projects, then you have to finish them. And you see people like you, and then they trust you, and they pay a lot for you. So it's not just paper. In my case, it's really profits which end up after the projects.
How long do you spend per project? Or maybe let me rephrase this. Do people find you or do you look for them?
No, they find me. As I said, a lot is through the resume, which I used to have. A lot is from mouth to mouth because you do a good project, then you get a new project. So I don't invest in marketing. I'm only on LinkedIn. Probably you found me on LinkedIn, and there's no social media I don't make advertising. I don't have so many projects, but I have big projects. So usually, if I work on a project, it's maybe 200 days of my time for one project. So even when I started with this Qatar Telecom, Oredo, at that time I was almost full time, and I had to work out of Doha, out of Qatar, and they didn't allow me to work on other projects. But I had also other clients interested, and then I invented this online consulting. It was yeah 6 7 years before the pandemic that I was already offering my services, because I had to be in Doha, but on the other hand I had Novartis from Europe, a pharmaceutical company, wanted to have a strategy. So I did a whole strategy online. So I never went there. And then I said, okay, this works out. And then I tried to offer an algorithm online, so people could have a session with me in 1.5 hour. I could make a strategy based on a framework which I developed, and I saw that that goes online. That the new generation of managers, they don't need you physically there. It's enough that they got the know-how and that you save their time. So sometimes it's boring to have a consultant because then you spend the whole day with him. With me, you can spend 1 hour and you get the solution.
Yeah. You know what I'm curious about is the Middle Eastern market, especially the GCC. People really tend to take really big care of relationships, and they make business decisions based on relationships. You spent a vast majority of your career in European markets. And I'm wondering, do you feel like there was a different approach with your clients when you were operating in Europe versus when you operated in the Middle East, for example, with a Middle Eastern
Yeah.
clientele?
So the European clients I acquire by myself uh, because somehow I fit to their culture. Arabs would not call for me. So I cooperated most of my time when I worked for Arabic companies with somebody. So, for example, Oredo project I got because one of my partners at A.T. Kearney became a board member, executive board member, and he brought me in. Yeah, so the relationship came from Europe. Then I met an ex-McKinsey guy who worked in Germany. He's a local, not Qatari, not Emirati, but from Iraq. And then he had his network, and I did a lot of projects in Iraq. And even then in Saudi Arabia, I did projects not because of my relationship, but because of relationship of other who brought me in as an expert. So I did a large project in Saudi Arabia, and I never, because of this project, I never traveled there. So I did it all online. And that's how I would say it is a little bit different from region to region. In Europe, people would call me, and I'm often on TV, and they would reach out to me. So here in the Middle East, I go through partnerships. So if I would not have these partnerships, if I would not be introduced by partners, I would not get business in the Middle East.
Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, Switzerland. I'm curious, is a business strategy take a lot into consideration the rules and regulation of the country in which that business is operating, or do you just work on processes and people?
I work on solutions, so I'm very pragmatic. So, like you, I also believe in artificial intelligence. So, I publish now industry-specific books. So, I developed one artificial intelligence book. It's called From Hype to Impact. And then I applied it with the help of ChatGPT on 10 different industries. So I have a value proposition in artificial intelligence, which I can use, but the companies are not yet ready to buy this for a lot of money. So this is still premature. So the traditional business still is improving processes, restructuring, and for that regulation is not important. So both for artificial intelligence, regulation is not so important because most of the work is done through automatization and improvement of productivity. And for these other parts, restructuring, reorganizations, it does not matter on the country. Maybe a little bit culturally, yes, but regulatory not.
Do you feel like the pace of change and innovation is different in these two regions if you compare Europe to the Middle East? So if you give a strategy, for example, how long will it take for the companies in the Middle East to really apply it and execute? Is it similar to different companies you worked with? Is it slower, faster?
There are two different portions. So they decide quicker, much quicker in the Middle East. They also implement some IT solutions or some good ideas very quickly. So I think here Dubai is 10 or 15 years ahead of Germany and Switzerland in this adoption of ideas and so on. But I also had experience that in the implementation of things in the Middle East, sometimes people just stay and then don't implement until the end. And big investments are done, and then it just stops. So I think here a German mentality is much more rigid, and if they decide to make a plan and to do, they will implement. And here, sometimes I was disappointed in the Middle East. Was a good idea also, maybe not so technological, but it would make sense. And then somehow there was no interest, they did not implement.
Do you take multiple projects at the same time?
Five max. So
Five.
the quality is, so I can have one big project at the same time where I build it up and have to manage a lot and so on and be physically present. And there are also other projects which some of my project continue for many years because with this family business, I help young people who get the business from their parents to manage. And I have two sons. uh, I'm having them for 6 years. It's the same project 6 years. And we don't have so much frequent meetings anymore because they just need me maybe once a month, 2 times, 3 times a month to control. Then I have another project where there is a 25 years young son also getting from his grandpa a business, and he saw me on TV and said, "Okay, please help me." With him, I have every Monday a board meeting which I lead, and on Fridays we have the commercial sales meeting with his team, and in between maybe two, three meetings, 5 meetings a week. So in fact, I'm helping him to run this company, but it is not time consuming. So the project in Switzerland, I'm almost full time. So for I'm even working there more than the employees would work because the working habits in Germany and Switzerland are much lower than we are used. So that's why for me a 37 week is a half time job and not full time job.
You know, it's very interesting you mentioned helping young people who get the businesses from their parents or grandparents, because right now we're in this wave where a lot of people are retiring and they're just their businesses, well, they're either selling it or they're giving it to their, well, descendants. So do you feel like this is a big market of its own? A lot of people.
For me, yes. If I look at the biggest project I had in my career, they were all for next generation people. So people who are maybe 35, yeah, and where their parents they step back, and for them it's much easier to listen to me with my experience. I'm also a professor at university. I have a special reputation through this, and these are good people. Sometimes they are from consulting as well. So that's why it's more the experience I sell the last year than analysis because they can do the analysis by themselves, and also the IT system enable them to make all types of business intelligence. So they don't need the facts anymore. They need somebody with the experience how to read the numbers and how to set the priorities, and they need somebody to ask where to go. So usually they would ask their parents, but they are proud that they are managing. So somehow I got the trust from their parents. On the other side, also the trust from the next generation. And in this field, there is not a lot of competition. Not many companies are offering this service.
Dr. Andre, I will end with this question. Why are you teaching? You got all these projects, you have everything going on for you, even these little side projects as well. Is it your way of giving back? Is it something you like doing?
Yeah, so it was always my hobby. I never took any penny for my teaching. And I involve my students. Usually, these are students with 25, 26 years in their last exam for the master. And I take a small number of students, but they can make 45% of their masters. with my courses, so they can make the master thesis with me, all on the same case, and I enable them to work on a real case. And for me, it's nice because I stay young, because these are always new generations, and the ChatGPT I learned through them. So I would not be such a heavy user if I would not look at them and say, why are they, since 2022, why are they so much better than before? And then I found out that a lot of questions I ask, they ask further, and ChatGPT would answer. So now I ask ChatGPT first, and then what ChatGPT cannot answer, I ask them.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Andre, that was a fascinating conversation. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, thank you, thank you. I hope you will send me the link so I can share with my friends.
For sure.